All right. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome. This is the first installment of our podcast series on navigating single motherhood. Yes, it's been a very controversial topic. My name is Bisola Adebajo-Nathaniel, and I am here with a lovely, wonderful, pretty dear sister of mine, and we'll be talking today about single mother, single motherhood, and all the intricacies of living as a single mother. So,
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
yes. We're gonna have her speak now. For today's recording, we're gonna have our guest anonymous. You don't need to know her name. We just need to hear all the wonderful nuggets and ideas. She's a bright, wonderful, lovely young lady. So we want to hear from you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Wonderful. All right, so I'm just gonna ask a few questions, and I know you have so much inside of you, so much knowledge and insights, and we're just gleaning. We just want to hear from you. We want to learn. We want to unlearn. Um, I, as a person, I know how this journey has been. I was a single mom for about 6 years, and I know how it was for me. And I'm here. I just want to help every single mother that I know, support her in every way that I can. And that's why we came up with this podcast series for single moms. So, question for you. So many women out there, they become single moms for a variety of reasons. So many reasons, and it just seems like the society just gets fixated on one reason. They just feel most single mothers are single because they probably cheated, or probably they were promiscuous, and then they got kicked out of their homes, or they were unfaithful to their partners and the partner left them. But what do you have to say about this?
I think there's a lot of stigma and shaming around, the phenomenon of the single mother or the baby mama, so to speak, right? Um, Different people arrive there through different routes, right? It's not a one size fits all approach. And like I said, different people got there different ways. Most women, I don't know many that would choose this route, right? So some people are there through some people lose their husbands or their significant others, and then they end up raising children alone. Some people, the guy pretends to want a family and then he decides he doesn't want to, and you're left to raise your child alone. So there are different ways that you can become a single mom. And I think majority wouldn't choose this route because raising a child is a lot of work. A child needs both parents. So, if you're well informed, I don't think this is a route that you would choose to go. So yeah, maybe there's a few that decide, with pop culture and everything, maybe there are a few people who decide they do not want the father to be involved. They don't want a man and they want to be a single parent. I don't know many people in that category. So I just think that people should extend more grace and people should be, people should learn the reason why the person has found themselves in this position. A lot of us do not ask to be here. So I think the stigma and the shaming really needs to stop. A lot of people won't understand until it happens to somebody close to you or somebody in your family, and then you see the routes that they get there, and then yeah, like, you have empathy for that person because you know their story. But because you don't know a lot of people's stories, you just stigmatize them and, shame them for being a single mother. But I think that it's a very laudable feat to raise a child alone. So if anything, I think that people should celebrate single mothers more because it's not an easy feat to do the work of two people. So I'll stop there.
Absolutely. You're so right. Because women become single for different reasons. It could be because they were widowed, divorced, unplanned pregnancy, unwilling father, like you said, and there's so many of them out there. Also a breakup, so many of those things. And it's just unfortunate that the world just stigmatizes a woman with just one of those reasons. Many single mothers experience emotional pain and confusion about how others will view them. Um, it's not even, it's actually the reality because I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Africa, but I'm now Canadian, but still we have lots of people back home in Africa that refuse to give their homes out, landlords, I mean, give their homes out to single moms, right? Because they just believe, oh, no, no, you're single, you cannot afford this. You don't have the financial capacity for this. And I don't want stories. So yes, they're being in a way,
Can I just say it's not even just back home?
yeah,
Even here, it's subtle. It's not very overt,
right.
right? But it's also very subtle.
Wow,
It's
that's
very subtle.
interesting.
Oh, yes, very subtle. So you have people say, all these immigrants, they're coming in here. A lot of people, because of the benefit system, a lot of people think that a lot of single moms just want to benefit from the system and take as much as
Hmm,
they can. Do you
right,
understand? So they see you as a burden. They see you as my taxpayers' money is what is sustaining you.
right.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so enlightening. Wow. So yeah, they see you as that means
They
you're
see it
you're
as a burden. They see it as they're the ones feeding you.
yeah,
They see it as the government is
exactly.
taking care of you. The government is enabling you. And
Right.
I know that in the UK, I know that you have this phenomenon of, young girls who are all single moms who are in council flats, this the state houses them once you're of a certain age, you have a child, they house you. And then you have people that even brag that I have 7 children and I get benefits from, for each one of them. And with that money, I'm able to travel all around the world. I don't need to work like you guys. So yes, you have the flip side of people who actually brag about the benefits they get by being single moms and the fact that they don't need to work or put in effort like the rest of you who are working. So you have that on the flip side, but I don't think that's the case for most people. At the end of the day, how much is the benefits that you're getting?
Exactly.
Are you not
Exactly.
going to, it's not enough. It's not enough in today's economy. So I
Yeah,
don't think
I think majority just
yeah,
really want
I
to
don't
be
see it as a perk.
independent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Majority want to be independent. They don't want to rely on the government. And there's that,
definitely.
like you said, there's that sect of people that want to rely on the funds that come in from the government, but single moms fear being viewed as sexually promiscuous, carrying too much baggage, selfish, unable to meet job demands, and they are criticized for being too involved and sometimes not involved. You find that sometimes if you're in a neighborhood where you have people around you and they know you're a single mom, some people actually just focus on you because they feel that single moms don't have the capacity to take care of children by themselves. So they
Yeah.
focus on you, they wait for you to make a mistake so that they can report you, so the social services can pick up your kids. There's a lot of shaming in all of this. And sometimes they believe that moms are so lazy, that the women are so lazy they don't want to work. What is your view about this?
Well, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for everyone, but I can only speak for myself. So if anybody had told me I would end up a single mother, I would tell you no way, because my parents are still together. I come from a long, rich heritage of, parents that are still together. My uncles are still together with their wives, my aunts are still together with their husbands. So it wasn't something that I foresaw at all.
Hmm.
I was in a long-term relationship and the guy wanted marriage. That's what he was saying right from the beginning. But I think that and it wasn't even, I wouldn't even say it was unplanned. It wasn't unplanned. That's the funny thing. It wasn't
Wow.
unplanned.
Wow.
It wasn't, because two consenting adults, you know the consequences of your actions, right?
Exactly.
So it was not unplanned, and he knows it was not unplanned. But I think that the weight, because of his antecedents, right, and certain things that had happened in his life, right, I think that the weight of he was a divorcee, right? So I
Mhm.
think that there was still a lot of trauma and a lot of healing on his part. And I think he felt like he had overcome it and he was ready for the next step.
Mm.
When it was now time to take the next step, I think everything just came sort of rushing back, and it just
Mm,
felt like I'm actually not ready, you know. In such a case, what do you do? There's already a baby on the way. Am I going to, life continues.
right.
Life continues. I have to step up, you know. I have to step up to the plate. I'm the woman, I'm the one that carries the baby. So for all intents and purposes, the entire burden is on you.
Wow.
The entire burden is on you. So I think that people should celebrate single women because we're strong. You know, not everybody. You know, a lot is like in Nigeria they say nah who they catch the thief, right?
Yeah,
A lot of people have gone through with abortions just not to be in this situation. But some
exactly.
people have been strong enough to say, you know what, whatever comes, I'll take it. I'll you
Hmm.
know I'll do it. Whatever comes, I'll do it alone. I'll do it afraid. So
Wow.
I think it requires a certain level of strength that not everybody has. Not everybody possesses that strength to shoulder on, you know, despite all the challenges, despite the stigma in society, you know. So I actually think it's a certain strength that needs to be studied. And
Wow.
families come in all shapes and sizes these days. There are people who they get married to their significant others and then death takes the person away. Why are you going to
Mm,
throw your children away? You're not.
mm.
You're not. So we just try to make the best out of a bad situation. We try to make, lemonade out of lemons. It's not ideal, but come on. There's so many people that are thriving and came from, single parent homes. Obviously, that was never my intention. And, if the opportunity presents itself, of course, I would love to get married again and have my child grow up. I had the privilege of growing up with both parents, and I know what a joyous home it was, and that's if if I have any regrets, is the fact that I'm not able to give that to my child.
Mm. Wow. Interesting. I love it. I love the fact that you mentioned something about trauma, unresolved trauma. And it was a place that I was trying to get to, but thank God you got there first. But so many people find that they're having lots of divorces and they don't even understand, or lots of failed relationships or failed marriages, because they don't understand that the reason that that is happening is because there is unresolved trauma. So you leave a relationship or you leave a marriage and you don't heal yourself properly. So you go to the next person broken. How then do you expect to have a good relationship? Because you're already broken. So it's very important for everyone. We need to go through that self-healing stage. That place where you can really be truthful with yourself. Is this thing me? Does it have to do with me, or it's the other person? If it's me, what did I do? What can I do better? How can I get help?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we Africans run away from. Africans
Yes.
run away. Anything, if they hear mental thing, anything mental, they think it has to do with maybe the person is crazy, or they never want to acknowledge that there's a problem,
Yeah, we never acknowledge mental health issues at all,
and it's
you
a
know.
real thing.
And
In
it's an ego
relationship,
thing as well. For you to
yeah,
tell a man, oh, let's go to a therapist. They're like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not going to a therapist.
right.
So yeah, like you said something very important, that it's important that I think it's important that you take, in every situation, you take your own portion of the blame.
Mm,
You look inwards, and you ascertain how you went wrong as well, because there's nobody that's all good or all bad. We all had our
mm,
own respective part to play.
yeah,
So you need to do some introspection and see so what part did I contribute to this going wrong, and then you address it accordingly, and then you take your lessons and then you move on,
exactly.
you know. So it might, like you said, hurt people hurt other people,
Mm,
right? And then in my case, I happen to be a victim of somebody who bled. I didn't cut you, but you're bleeding on me.
right.
So it's, unfortunately, it's happened, and I'm not going to say that I did not do any. I had my own faults in the relationship, so I'll tell you my own faults, right? So yes, the first is premarital sex, right?
Mm,
So that's my fault. I wouldn't be pregnant in the first place.
right.
You would be sure of the person's intentions, even which I thought were pretty clear. And it wasn't just to me, it was to my family as well. This person was part of my family, you know? So even my
Mm,
family were really shocked, because they were like, if you were in love such to the point that you were blinded, he could not have blinded all of us.
wow.
You know, in my house, there was present, because in my family we're very big on Christmas. There's a Christmas, every we exchange gifts. There's a Christmas gift under the Christmas tree every Christmas for everybody, and he had one under my Christmas tree in my house from my parents every
Wow.
Christmas. So it was almost like it was not just heartbreak from me, but it was the entire family, because they were like, we pride ourselves on being good judges of character. Even if you were in love and too blind to see it, we would have seen it surely. So it wasn't, for all intents and purposes, I don't think it's something that I would have known, that this person did have unresolved trauma that that was preventing, and that prevented them from being emotionally available.
Right.
I didn't see all this during, like I said, I dated this person for a couple of years. It was not a brief stint. It wasn't a one night stand. This is somebody that was in my life for a considerable period of time. And somehow it didn't show. That trauma did not show,
Because the scars are not really on the body, they're on the heart.
Exactly. Although I won't say that I did not sense the hesitation to, because at my age, I was in my 30s, early 30s, and people would tell you that that a man knows what he wants from the beginning.
From the day
right?
one, yes.
From day one. So if a year has passed and he's not saying anything, then some people would advise you to get out immediately.
Yes.
Don't even wait and ask questions.
Yeah.
Just get out of there. But in my own case, I felt like, okay, this person is a divorcee. It's not going to be as straight cut as it is for,
a single
for everybody
person.
else. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm not the kind of person, all those questions, what are we? Where are we going? Where are we headed? I don't do it. I think that's probably one of my learning points. I don't want to sound desperate, so I never ask those questions. But I think it's something that I have to bring myself to ask, so that you are very sure of the person's intention. Obviously, the person can lie, but at least you've done your due diligence by asking the pertinent question. Right? But in my own case, it was just like, oh no, it will be a gradual progression. From day one, though, he did mention that that's what he wanted. But in the relationship, this person was perfect. When I say perfect in every sense of the word, perfect.
Wow.
Right? But I just didn't know that because of the trauma, he wasn't so eager to rush to the altar.
Masking things up, right?
He wasn't so eager to rush to the altar. Relationship-wise, it was fantastic. He wanted to be in the relationship, there were no issues. But I just realized that when you start dating somebody, there are certain steps you start to take. So first of all, you start to look for a house, you know how you're talking about your life together after,
right.
I wasn't hearing any of that. So if I'm being honest with myself, there were red flags as well. Do you understand? So I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm talking about my own self and the role that I played as well, and the lessons that I have learned. So those red flags were there, even though I tried to brush them off and be like, oh, I'm not going to be desperate. I'm not going to ask, do you see me in your future? Where do you see us? I didn't want to ask all of that, because a part of me just feels like if you're having to ask, then you already know the answer. If the person is not saying it, if the person is not communicating, the person is not making you feel like, they want you in their future, then you shouldn't have to ask. So maybe a part of me was also me just sort of denying the inevitable or refusing to see the handwriting on the wall. But then again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Some people are not progressing the relationship maybe because of financial issues. His own issues were not financial, because I asked him, is it financial? Are you waiting to get to a certain milestone? Are there things you want to accomplish before you take the next step? And he's like, nope, I'm perfectly where I want to be, So, yeah, so talking about my own learning points. Yeah, so before you go ahead and make a baby, I think you want to be in the institution of marriage already.
I love it.
Right? So I'm talking about where I went wrong. Because I think I put the cart before the horse. And I just felt like, because he had been talking about marriage from day one, I just, I was on birth control, but I think I started having side effects. So I told him I was going off it, and he knew. He never wanted me on it in the first place, because he felt like, oh, birth control, I heard it gives cancer, and all the whole conspiracy and the conspiracy theory about birth control. So he never wanted me on it, but I'd been on it for a very, very long time, even before we met. So I told him when I went off it, and he was like, oh, fine. So we both knew the risks. We both knew. But I felt like if I do get pregnant, he will do the right thing, because that's what I felt. But in his own mind, he didn't have kids from his previous marriage. It was very short-lived. He didn't have kids. he wanted kids, but in his own mind, I guess he didn't feel the need to, we don't have to get married even if she's pregnant. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's where the disconnect was.
Yep.
So when I say the pregnancy was not unplanned, we both knew very well what we were getting ourselves into. We both knew the repercussions, right? I just felt like, oh, marriage has always been on the cards. You've always said it's going to be on the cards. So, I felt like, okay, if I do get pregnant, we will get married. But in his own mind, marriage was not, it was not part of, he wanted a child, all right. But I didn't think he wanted to get married again. And so maybe he should have. The truth is, whatever you want, there's somebody else that wants it. You don't have to lead anyone along. You don't need to lead people along. Do you understand? If you just want a child out of it, there's somebody that will just give you a child out of it and does not want to
Right.
get married, right? But I
Right.
was raised with strong traditional family values, So if you had told me I only want a child, I would have said, please go your way. Go your way.
Absolutely.
That's not the kind of, that's not the kind of home that I want for my child. I had the privilege of both parents. I still do till today, and so that's the kind of home that I wanted. So yes, there was a disconnect somewhere where I felt like you would do the honorable thing. We're not strangers. We've been together for a couple of years, but on his own side, there was trauma that was keeping him from, progressing the relationship and actually wanting to get married. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm talking about what I would do differently. So it's happened. It's happened now. It's not as if we didn't even really have a breakup. It was just, so for me, he was very vague. What are we doing? He wouldn't say anything. He was just evading all those questions. And so I now had to face the reality I'd been trying to run away from, which is if he's
Right.
not saying anything, then I don't
Mm.
think this guy wants it. And I'm not somebody, I will never force you to. Marriage, marriage is a big deal. It is a sacred institution to me. I will not go in there if I know there's an iota of doubt on the other person's part.
Wow.
I will not. I don't. Is being a baby mama, right? It's a derogatory term. I don't want to use the word
Yes,
baby
it
mama,
is a
but
derogatory.
being a single mother for me is less, what's the word now, than having to go through a divorce.
Yes.
So I pulled the plug very early. Like, look, if you don't know what you want, it's fine. I'm not going to put a gun to your head. You can stay on your own if that's what you want. I'm not going to force anybody. I don't know how women trap men. How do you feel knowing that you you are the one that orchestrated all of that, and this person doesn't, have the same feelings for you that you do, or doesn't? It's not that doesn't have the same feelings, doesn't love you enough to take that bold step. So I pulled the plug and I was just like, you know what? If you don't know now, then you're never going to know. And I wasn't willing to stay in a relationship because you hear people who I've had a child for somebody, our child is 7 years old, you're still not married, but you're still
Yeah.
dating.
Yes.
I didn't want to fall into that trap. No. So I said, if you don't know what you want today, then you're never going to know, because 3 years is it's not being, if you don't know today, then you're never going to know. So I took myself out of the equation.
And how has it been since, the effect on your child, like, because you say you took yourself out of the equation. So does he desire to be part of the child's life? And how is that like navigating what is that? The visitation, the splitting of the finances, and just that impact, the emotional impact on your child. How does it feel?
Luckily my child is still quite young. He refused to come and see my child. He insisted I should bring the child to his family house.
Wow.
And I refused. And I said, a mother that has just given birth, the nuances, right? You're
Yeah.
trying to adjust to motherhood. You're trying to get your baby to sleep. You're trying to get your baby to eat. I had a lot of issues, when my child was not lactating or anything. So I had all those issues. And I said, no, if you cannot come and visit the child, then, you're not going to summon me every time you want to see that child. So if you refuse to make an effort to come and see your child, then so be it. So that went on for a very long time. And so he did not see the child.
Wow.
That's
Till
also
date?
another ego trip. Pardon?
Till date?
Yeah, I've seen the child a couple of times. I can count on one hand. Because he also went to court to force me to bring the child to him,
Wow.
which I felt very, very, I felt that that was really silly. I would never deny, do you understand? I would never, a mother and a father have the individual roles to play in a
Yes.
child's life. I would never deny him. I even have messages. He refused to see the child. He didn't see the child until the child turned one. And even at that, I was the one who, through our lawyers, I asked, do you want to see the child in a neutral place? You say you're not going to come to my house, and I am not going to come to your house. So I had to broker, a deal where we see the child in a neutral place, which he first even said, no, he's not going to see the child in a neutral place. The child must come to his house. So unfortunately, there's not much of a relationship there.
Right.
Financially, I've not gotten anything, not because it doesn't have, but it's almost like trying to put me in a difficult position where I will bend to your will, or
Right.
which unfortunately is not working because I work and I can take care of the child by myself. So that hasn't it has tried to back me into a corner, but it has not worked much. And I come from a very loving family where my son has aunties, uncles, my dad is there. So he's not of the age yet where he will know that there's something missing. So
Mm.
let me say I've been lucky so far, but I know that the time is coming.
Yes, it is coming.
The time is coming. But
So
I, I, I
how do you
plan
plan to handle that
I
though?
plan to be
Because that
very
time is
truthful.
coming.
Yes, I plan to be very truthful and very honest, which is your father loves you very much, which he does. I know he does love his son very much. I know that for a fact. He's a splitting image of his father,
Wow.
right? So I know he loves him, and he's his only child to date. I know that he loves him very much, but somehow that trauma hasn't allowed
Hasn't
him
been
to.
dealt with. Yes.
Yes, it hasn't been dealt with, and it's like transferred aggression to me from somewhere else that I don't understand where it's coming from. I didn't cut you, so why are you bleeding on me? You know. So I intend to be as honest as possible. Your father loves you very much, but your father has issues with mommy, and because of those issues, he hasn't come close, right?
I love
But
that.
the door is always open. I hope he does change his mind and tries to build a relationship with his son. It's me that he has a problem with, not his son. But because the boy is a young child, I am the access to that child. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, unfortunately, if you don't sort of and by settle with me, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to marry anybody who's not sure they want to be married. Like marriage is hard enough. Marriage between two people who are truly, madly, deeply in love with each other is hard enough because, as you know, love is not enough,
Love is not enough.
right? So if there are any doubts, then please just let's make the world a better place, and let there be more peace in the world. People who are at war with themselves, they can never give you peace.
Hmm.
So let's rid the world of all these let's rid the world of all the hatred. We really don't have to be together. So we can co-parent peacefully. However, you're not ready to drop all that ego, all that male ego and pride, and so but the door is open. I hope in the future that he does come around to see his child. I'm hopeful. But if he doesn't, then that's fine as well.
Wow, this is so good. It's so good. Because you know, I just really I'm thinking to everything. I'm just trying to round off everything that we've said, and all I'm seeing here is, this could have been a better story if trauma had been dealt with.
Yep.
He wouldn't
Don't-
be bleeding
Yeah.
like this. He would have had
Yeah.
a happy home, been able to have a child. I remember when I left my marriage, it was such a struggle to allow anyone in because I was so hurt and I was it was just trauma from all sorts of arenas. It was just hard. And when you were talking about how difficult it was for him to commit. And I thought to myself, yes, it was difficult to commit at a point, but I had to come to the realization that, hey, you need healing. So go get that healing so that you don't bleed on someone else, right? And it's very, very important that this is taken care of, because
It's very
sometimes we don't
important.
even know how.
I myself need therapy before
Exactly.
I
Of
myself
course.
need therapy, if I'm being very honest,
Of
you know,
course. You
because when you
experienced
trust
all of
someone
those
so
things.
much,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yes, you do. Everyone needs at a point of time in their lives, but it's just that hard, that fact of accepting it that you need it. And I just pray that we're able to and just teach and educate the world more that they need to take out time for healing, soul healing, and
yeah,
it just
yeah,
go back in there and find out where
yeah.
the hurt is and
Mhm.
fix it.
Yeah, and I've let go of the thought that I'm in control of making sure he has a relationship with his son. That's his job. If he chooses not to have one, as much as it sucks, then, because I know the efforts I've made, there are times I would reach out to him and say, COVID happened. So he went to court. Obviously, all of that was stalled during COVID. And I felt so bad for him. And I'm like, this route that you're taking is clearly not working out for you. And I reached out to him and I said, do you want to see him? I can bring him somewhere neutral for you to
Mm.
see. So I know the efforts that I have made for him to have a relationship with his child. But if you're trying to be stubborn and you're trying to prove a point, then good luck to you. Good luck to you, really.
Wow.
Good luck to you. So really and truly, he just, I don't know. The issue is between both of us, and until that is resolved, it's putting a strain on him, seeing his son.
In the child, yes, yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And I just wish we could be adults about it, because we're the ones who make the decisions, and it's at the end of the day, it's a third party, a child that's going to suffer in the end of, at the end of it all.
I always say time heals all wounds, and I hope that whatever wound and hurt is in his heart will be healed in due time, so that he can enjoy life, so that you can enjoy life, so that your son can enjoy life to the full. It's been wonderful having you here with us. It's been so wonderful having you here with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
And I hope I've been able to shed more light on the plight of single mothers and how, instead of being stigmatized, they ought to be celebrated doing the work that they're doing alone.
Wow.
Especially because not everybody chose to be the villain, or not every, there are different routes to getting here. Some people are victims, truly, and still chose to keep the child. So I think they ought to be celebrated.
Yes, yes, you're so right. They ought to be. And thank you so much. I do hope you have a wonderful day ahead. And to all single moms out there, you're doing great. You're doing awesome. You're doing a magnificent job raising those champions. There's nothing as good as bringing a new life into the world and raising them up in a wonderful and healthy way. And you're doing a great job at it. So kudos to you out there. Thank you. All right. See you.
Yeah.
And
All
it's
right. Bye.
bye-bye from me here today. All right. Bye.